Welcome to another edition of The Fence Show. Today I'm in Saugus, Massachusetts with the legendary, the one and only, Mike Payne of Northeastern Fence. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you, Peter.
Excited about being here?
Absolutely.
I'm fired up about this interview. This is, I wanted to start recording as soon as you picked me up in the car from the airport, and I almost wanted to, I've ever had to tell you to stop talking. We got to save it all for the interview. So this is going to be fun. So, how have you been?
Been very well. How about yourself?
Been good. Good. So, why don't you, for the viewers out there, why don't you give us a little background on Northeastern Fence and Supply, and share a little bit about what you guys do here and what you've been doing.
Sure. Northeastern Fence and Supply. We've been in business since 1955. My grandfather started it in 1955. We're a distributor. Plus, we also have a part of a division that does installation, all fence products, also pellets and heating products in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm. And was it always in this location?
We were in Melrose, town next door, for about 8 years, and then my grandfather bought this property in 1963.
Wow. That's awesome, and it is one of the best fencing properties in the country. You know that, right? There's not many. I
have been around the country, so I don't know. It's one of the best fence properties in Saugus, that's for sure.
This is one of the best fence properties in the United States, as far as an actual fence store with the operation that you have. They're talking to the envy of anyone. I mean, Route 1, major highway, 4-lane, busy, 8 miles north of Boston. You're very, very fortunate that your grandfather had the vision.
Without a doubt.
To get it set up. So you mentioned installation. Something new. What was the origin of that?
Yeah, roughly about 8 years ago, 7 to 8 years ago, we decided to try installation a little bit. We were having a lot of customers. What we used to do is we would always recommend some of our customers. So we would have a desk with 30 cards on it, and if, depending on the location, here, call this person, here, call that person. And I joined a networking event. And in the networking event, people had to come and you'd interview them like kind of what we're doing here, but without the cameras, of course. And to a T, everyone knew who we were. They were saying, "Oh yeah, Northeastern, you've been there forever. I've been in your store 3 times, and I never bought a fence from you." And I'd be like, "Well, why didn't you buy a fence from me?"
They need it installed.
And they said, "Well, we need it installed." And when we said that, the salesman would give us a couple cards, we'd call them, and then no one would ever call us back. So we went to so-and-so company that did install. So we pretty much did it for that reason. And it's become a pretty big part of our business now. But back then, it was just a tiny little speck.
It's amazing, with everybody watching the show and, different parts of the country today, is it recognizing the fact that very few companies actually make that transition. Everyone makes the other transition. Every fence company wants to be Northeastern Fence as far as the supply side.
That I'll agree with.
And it's pretty cool that you actually did the exact
going
opposite.
back in time, kind of. Actually, we did install from 55 to about 1985. We installed. That was we installed and did distribution, and then we just did the distribution. Now we're kind of going back into the past.
All right, so we're 5 minutes into this reunion show.
Okay.
And I know the viewers and the listeners, or the listeners wouldn't be questioning this, but I'm sure the viewers now have been questioning this. What exactly is this stuff we have behind us here? It's a cartoon set, and why don't you introduce your cast of characters here to the people watching the Fence Show? Sure.
These are basically my fence characters here. These started. We had a fence convention show in Orlando, and Orlando is a town full of characters, and I figured we would do our best shot to kind of compete with Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse and all that good stuff. So
I remember this.
Yeah,
I remember seeing it.
So we have Gary the Gate here. He is very happy because he's always swinging along all day long, just opening, closing, having fun, all that good stuff. Center of attention, And then here we have Bobby Blank. He's kind of got the question mark, weird face, cap, only because he just don't know what he does with fencing.
He's a blank post.
Yeah, he's just a blank post, so he don't know what kind of, what his set in life is. And then we only have the head right now of.
Just noticed the names on it.
Yeah. And then we have the head, and I think you need to put that on maybe, because this is
this is who?
The inspiration for this one is a gentleman named Peter Fickinger, and that's Peter Post. He's half man, half post, and that's
I feel like Lee Corso and Game Day.
Exactly.
So that's Peter Post.
That's Peter Post.
Well, now, when I was the inspiration of the spoof of this, was it because you were mocking fence suppliers at the time, or was it because you were inspired by
we've come a long way.
Classy looking guys?
We've come a long way. I would say it was a little bit because, number one, you are definitely the person that inspired me to get involved in PVC, and also mocking it a little bit as well. So there's always a little bit of good and bad and everything.
In the Peter Post, it's every fence supplier you've ever had. Just put it all into one thing. It's a caricature of every guy that came in and said, we're the best and we can deliver high quality product on time for the best price. These are actually costumes that people actually would outfit themselves.
Yeah, real costumes. These came from a theatrical costume company in Wisconsin. Spent a lot of money on them. They're not, they're real heavy duty costumes, and they've been around the block a few times, but they've been in the closet for many years, and they're going to come out of the closet this year.
They don't go out for Halloween once a year?
No, unfortunately. I did have them at my daughter's birthday party about 4 or 5 years ago. I had Gary the Gate, and I also had Sesame Street character, Elmo.
Elmo, yeah.
And he lost out to Elmo, so he got put back in the garage after a few minutes out.
Well, so now that the audience can actually appreciate this backdrop, also I'll just kind of give a little ad lib. Beautiful showroom, great salespeople. One of the things that I would also throw to is, I mentioned that you have one of the best physical locations in the fence business, but I would tell you that you're probably one of the best fence retailers in the United States.
No, I mean, I think what makes us unique is kind of like we're a smorgasbord of everything. So retail, being right on Route 1 and being around so long, and the way we're set up, we have a room full of salesmen that take their time with the customer and stuff like that. So I know we're very good at it, but
from a DIY standpoint, I mean, you were DIY fence before Home Depot and Lowe's even existed in the Boston market.
Yes.
And you've been DIY all the way through the internet, and you still are a leading DIY company.
We're definitely the place that people look. Yeah. So whether, even if they get it someplace else or they're looking to get someplace else, they kind of come here to get certain things, to look at the styles, to get the brochures, to take the time. And then generally, sometimes they'll buy from us, sometimes they don't. Yeah. But
you educate them so they can go elsewhere.
Sometimes it's fact of the business that you do that. But at least, if you stay in your lane, if you're still, true to your school in that respect, they come out of here feeling some sort of value from Northeastern. Yeah. So maybe the next time they'll buy something. Or if their friend, if they have a bad experience with a defense contractor or whoever they buy it from, they'll tell the neighbor, hey, Northeastern, those guys up there, they were great.
So you have one of the best taglines in the fence business. Why don't you tell everybody what your tagline is?
Our tagline is fences for kids, dogs, and ugly neighbors. And that was created by my sales manager, who's been here since I was 5 years old. I wasn't here at 5 years old, but I hated it. We put it on the sign for a couple of days. Hated it.
You think Dave's been here since, is it David?
1976, David, I think.
I saw it go up, and I think it's just awesome.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. But back then, I just didn't. It just goes to show you.
It's a little weird in writing.
Yeah.
When you see it written, it's weird.
Yeah.
You hear it, it's cool, but now once you don't understand that the whole viral personality of social media and stuff like that.
The funny thing about it is, I Googled Northeastern Fence one time, and the sign came up, and we were on a site called BuzzFeed, and it said top 10 funny signs in the Northeast, and we were number 7. Some random person took a picture, and I was so proud of them.
Have you ever had another job?
I did. I actually I had a wicked awesome job when I was 15 for about 4.5 weeks at Wiggum's. Bringham's Ice Cream. I don't know if you're familiar with Bringham's Ice Cream, but I made a great raspberry lime Ricky back in the day. And I learned a lot about business then and about bad bosses. I quit that and decided to stick with the family business.
Do you think there's any correlation between you deciding to sell vinyl fence and meeting me in the early 2000s and the fact that since that time, the Patriots have won a Super Bowl or two and the Red Sox have won a World Series or two? Do you think there's any correlation between your interest in vinyl fence and that?
Yeah, vinyl fencing for the most part. The funniest thing is when I first met you at a fence meeting that we had, and I don't know if you remember this, but you spoke. A gentleman from another company, Bucktech, spoke, and then a local gentleman from around here spoke.
2002, I remember.
Something like that. Yeah. And the funniest thing about it is I went there, and I was not a believer. Basically, one guy spoke, and all he spoke about was how great doesn't buy from that company. Yeah. And then another guy spoke, and all he said, I'll never forget, is vinyl fence. It's here, whether you like it or not.
I remember that.
Yeah, and then Peter spoke, and he actually had some interesting things to say, but I really...
It was the first time I ever saw that, probably.
Yeah, first I connected to that, and then at the bar, I'm having a drink with one of our friends, Ronnie, and they asked me what I thought. And I said, I'll never forget this, because I'll go back to a story right after this, but I said, sounds good, but it's fake, it's a fad, it's probably going to last a few years. I go, but you know what? I've learned my lesson because of decisions made back then, so I decided to go and buy hundreds of trailers.
So that was January of 2002, you know. And as far as the vinyl fence is concerned, a couple other things. I remember when you first started, you instantly told everybody, once you decided you were going to do it, that you were going to be the PVC king. You were probably one of the first, if not the first, in the entire country, this is before some of the other big suppliers got into it, to actually stock assembled vinyl fence panels. At this point, the idea of somebody actually stocking vinyl was crazy enough, but around 2001, 2002, panels, were just the idea of getting started. And I remember you stocked them, and then in that first year, you had so much success. From 2002 to 2004, that period of time, if you go back and look at your numbers, I'll prove. Oh,
I know the numbers. Yeah,
you went from $50,000 to $1 million, very, very quick.
Yes. Oh, I couldn't have done it without you.
Very proud of that.
It was your vision, though. No, it wasn't my vision. It was your vision.
It was our vision.
I still remember one of your employees coming up to me. He was standing right here, and I'm trying to figure out how to get a truckload. And this guy, he was a little amped up, I gotta tell you. He's like, dude, man, you're trying to figure out one truckload. You're gonna be ordering 10, 20, 30 trucks. He actually got me excited about it, you know what I mean? And it was a perfect time. It was perfect timing for it. And I think the key back then it was such a different world, you know what I mean? So a couple years before that, the people that were selling vinyl fences around here, if there were any, they were like window guys, and they were working out of their house, and they didn't know anything.
Took the fence and put it into vinyl.
Yeah, and and basically, not just us, the reason why I think it grew like it did is that you took the question mark out of it. So.
Well, I think that that you brought it to the market. You made it so people weren't afraid about it. You actually made it accessible so people can stock it. But I think one of the things that you actually did, that from a wholesale perspective, that a lot of the other wholesalers have learned since then was, if I'm a contractor, I'm going to go sell a fence. I want to be able to go install it tomorrow.
Exactly.
And if I have to go through a bunch of hoops and order it and wait 3 weeks, I'm just going to tell the customer, that's a lot of money and this is less money, and they'll make the decision based on my quote. But you made it accessible, so vinyl fence wasn't some foreign object, and that was
exactly. Cool. We had our original PVC world out there. We had the panels and all that stuff, and you know what? Having the contractor be able to see, 6 trailloads, 7 trailloads of vinyl. I remember telling them, when they're like, what's going to happen this season? And I'd be like, you know what? I'll tell you what. If you got like a 20, 30 panel job, you can definitely have it tomorrow, maybe today. Yeah. I go, and you know what? If you have 3,256 panel job, I probably can't get all the posts drilled for you tomorrow, but I could probably have a couple of days because we have that in stock.
And get you started.
And that made it easy for the contractor to get out there and
to
sell.
believe in something that's a little bit more complicated. All the challenges that you guys have had and the successes, it's a testament to not only what your grandfather and the family, matured over the years, but what you've done since you've been the solo boss. How long have you been solo boss?
I started in '88. I've been kind of the boss since about 1997.
So it's been a good run as a family business.
Yes, I tried to basically just kind of keep the ship afloat.
It was admirable the way that you ran the business
Yep.
in the early 2000s. What's the basic ingredients to keeping your customers happy? Because I know you get people here on a repeat basis almost every single day. What's the secret to that?
What you do when there's a mess up. That's my number one thing is no matter how good you are, you're going to mess up. There's going to be a dented post or a screwed up gate or something like that. Sometimes the contractors might mess up. So there's two different kind of views. When you mess up what you do and when the contractor messes up what you do. And one thing that I've seen over the years is sometimes, companies don't react good either way for that. So like if I mess something up, make it right for the contractor. Yeah. To me, that's the number one thing because it might cost you a few dollars, it might cost you a little bit of time, but again, it's something that they remember.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Most of them don't take advantage of it. Sometimes you're going to get something that they take advantage of.
I've seen you do that. I mean, I've been part of it. I've seen the commitment.
You just kind of got to do whatever it takes. It's really, this business isn't a bank.
If you were giving advice to a fence company that wants to sell a little bit of materials and not just install fence, what would you say, as advice to them?
I think the teaching part of it and know that it's not going to be a 9 to 5 thing. I think definitely having the patience to handle customers is very important because a lot of people that are installers, sometimes they don't really have the patience to go talk to someone about 35 minutes about the difference between a New England Post cap and a Gothic cap.
It is crazy. That's what's interesting about your store that I learned 18 years ago, and I've seen it with other companies, is that when someone comes in here and they're starting to talk about fence, you don't know whether they're talking about one section that they need for something, or they could be talking about a 45 section job. You made the commitment here a long time ago that was part of the deal, and if you think about it, an average sale for a backyard is $4,000, $4,000 of a good sized job. It's like selling a car.
Yep.
So you might as well take your time.
You have that, and then you have a bunch of little seals that add up like crazy as well. And then when people need you, if there's a windstorm, blizzard, hurricane, something like that, who is the company that they're going to think about to get stuff? You got to be open. You got to be there. You can't have a sign and say, I'll be back on Thursday. You know what I mean? It is time. It's not for everybody. If there is, time, it's going to take your time, but it's definitely profitable if you put the time into it.
Do you remember one time you bought an entire container of 5-inch New England Post caps?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were so far ahead of your time because I've just learned the whole Chinese.
I think there was 26,000 caps in there.
Arbitrage. Like I just learned all this. I just heard of Alibaba and you were so far ahead of it. So this must have been around 2004. And so you bought 26,000 New England Post caps.
Yeah, 26,000.
And I remember that. Did you have any of those left?
No, we sold them all.
But that was cool. So like, did you really I mean, to me, the margins to sell anything, like if we sell a 5x5 post or whatever, you're lucky to make 15% margin.
Right.
You bought, and that's a 10.
I made more on the caps than I do the fence.
Yeah, you bought. Let's say you bought those post caps for $2.
Yeah.
You bought them around $2. You sold them for $6.
Yep. Yeah. $6. Depending on who, fence guy, non-fence guy, that type of thing.
I think that is so great.
You have to have that if you're going to sell fence, you have to have items that get you more profit because you got to bend on this end of it. You got to have a little bit of fat on that end of it.
So what do you guys do for advertising? Like, what's your, other than your whole word of mouth machine, the great location that you have here? You said you don't spend much on advertising.
Sure. I mean, I've done just about everything over the years. I learned the hard way that not everything turns to gold. But right now we do a little bit of cable. We do cable at a local show that's on here. Besides that, we do church bulletins, and we do a lot of little stuff. Like whenever somebody, cheerleading team at some school, a play, like we sponsor a play at my kid's school, that type of thing.
That they're actually community oriented.
It makes you feel good to do it. It makes you feel good, and I could tell you, I can't believe the amount that comes back. I had someone buy a fence from me because I sponsored a little play last year, $100, whatever, a few $100, and they bought a big fence, and they said they wanted to do it because their daughter was in the show. That's awesome. I sponsored it. So I think you need to seek out the little pockets, the ones that are small that can blow up.
Now I know that we talked about some social media stuff on the way over here today. I've followed you on Facebook over the past year. You have this little thing where you post the first 3 or 4 words of a song, like "should have been gone," or something like that, and you write it down. And
you sing pretty good, by the way.
Yeah. And then, but then I've always looked at that. I'm like, because out of context, 4 words mean nothing to you, and then it's like muscle memory. Yeah. Dang. How come you do that? Is it just a fun? Like, why did you do
Believe it or not, it was like a year ago or something. These are all songs that I hear going to work. I've had people.
I like it.
I've had people that I'm not even really friends with, friends, come up here and they've said, "Yeah, my friend said that the owner's a little whatever, but he sings all our songs that we used to love or whatever, stuff like that." And I don't know. I'm telling you, the oddball stuff we get so much more out of than your traditional.
I think that's a cool thing. The other thing I saw you did on Facebook, which I think you should do more. And I think do business related stuff more. But when you're not afraid to go Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember I went. Did you know you and I went to the Phil Collins concert together?
Really, too?
Well, I saw it live.
That was an awesome concert.
But it was so cool that you were doing that. And you did the same thing somewhere else at another concert. I'm trying to remember. And I know you did it at a ball game.
Did it with Def Leppard and Journey earlier.
Yeah. That was really funny because that's a great tool. People don't realize how awesome Facebook Live is from a business standpoint. I mean, at any point you can just go and do a television show right here by going Facebook Live, and you just, like we're doing right now, this tape.
So when these guys have people in them, and it's a nice spring day, and the great thing about Facebook Live is, like for me, it's about size, location, right down the line, because you're just a name in the phone book. I don't even use phone books anymore, but you Google, you're just a name, right? So you go Facebook Live and walk around, and people see, wow, look at the vinyl fence you have.
I've been spending a lot of time, obviously, doing this show and talking about it and all different things in the past 6 months, and I didn't even know social media existed until 6 months ago. Now I'm like all in on it. Yeah. And one thing I tell everybody, and I share, people in our audience that watch the show, and to you and your team, is the fence business happens to be an incredibly visual business.
Yes.
Where you actually have, where you make massive transformations in a very short period of time. So before and after shots, customer testimonials. But honestly, and hope this is like what I'm trying to do a little bit with the fence show, and it's fun having you on it, is it's bringing to life the characters of the fence business.
Absolutely.
So I started, I don't know if you remember, and I look at your business and I look at Ronnie's business, and I'm thinking, screw Duck Dynasty, man. Put this on TV. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think it's a fun thing, and I think that you're onto something there, and certainly your customers and bringing them to life, especially your wholesale customers, bringing them to life. I think there's some fun stuff you can have with social media like that. And I kind of like, it's fun because I can see that you do it so passionately without any ulterior motive. Like you're so passionate about your Facebook and how you intertwine fence and your life. You do it with no ulterior motive, but it's giving.
It's like no filter, no structure either. But
it's also giving
is what is it's real
thing for your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not by design at all. No. So kudos to you on that. The last couple of quick things. What's the biggest challenges you have running your fence business today?
I think the biggest challenge right now, to be honest with you, is trying to find good help, people that can help you grow your business. I think nowadays it's a little harder than it was back in the day.
Unemployment's pretty darn low right now.
Yes.
So it's hard. You got to compete. You got to figure out ways to get people in the door.
Yep. Even summer help, which in the fence business summer help is key to your business. High school kids, college kids, but even that's a lot tougher than it used to be back in the day.
I'm hearing that, and it's funny. That is the number one answer to that question that I've asked over the past.
And health insurance. Health insurance every year is going up 5-10% every year, so that's a challenge.
So you have to you provide health insurance to your employees.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big investment. What are you most proud of what you've done when you look around this place? What are you most proud of?
Personally, is we've never strayed from what we talk about. So we talk about family, we talk about having a career here, we talk about customers like their friends and family, and that's never changed. Like, prices change, products change, we screw up as much as other people, but the vision, and like what you said earlier, if there's a problem, we're going to take care of it no matter what happens. And that's something that, I hope, helps the whole story, but whether it does or not,
you have a great legacy to build on.
Yeah,
you did a good job.
And then that, especially like the fact that it's now been, this is 30 years. My reunion coming up next Saturday.
I saw that. I noticed that your profile picture is this guy I don't recognize.
Oh, I'm twice the man I used to be. But someday I'll be the man I am today. But 30 years, and that's basically as long as I've been up in the office. But I've been here since I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. My first experience with a fence that you saw used to be a horse farm, and there were horses there. And somehow I threw a rock at a horse, and it kicked me through a post and rail fence.
For people outside of Boston, by the way, he's saying the word horse. Horse. Not
horse. Okay, horse. Whatever way you say it.
That's funny. That's a great story. Now you have 3 children, and they're all young. They're, ages from what age?
17-year-old daughter, 13-year-old daughter, and 9-year-old son.
And I've never seen someone so proud of his children as you are. You have so much fun with your kids. You're not afraid to share that.
Nope.
Do you see them ever being in the family business down the road?
It's funny. I've gone back and forth over the years. Economy and family business right down the line, to the point where now I think it is a good career. And I used to, I remember when I was younger, people would be talking about, what we do for a living. Yeah. And one of my friends is a CPA, another friend a computer guy, and I'd be like,
I sell fence.
I own a fence company, and I felt embarrassed. I don't know why. For some reason, I felt embarrassed. My grandfather worked 50 years. Lifeblood, 5 every single day, and I'm embarrassed about that. And then I started thinking about that, and now I look at this and I go, I'm really proud. I'm like, I run a very good fence company that can employ people for 20, 30, 40 years. Fencing isn't for everybody. I would want my kids to get their degrees and become doctors and lawyers, but if they don't want to, if that doesn't somehow work and they show an interest, I hope to have this company as successful as it is today. When it's the time.
If you make it look as fun as it is, it's going to be hard to walk away from. It is a lot of fun, and I think the thing I'm most excited about our time today is how much fun you have in the fence business. You really enjoy it. You have a great time. You are one of the most fun people, and always the guy with a smile on his face. And much more I've noticed recently. I want to thank you, Mike, for this gift you gave me. Mike gave me this gift as I came in the office today, and it's a signed Dr. J, Julius Erving shirt from the 76ers, and no one ever gives me gifts. In life in general. It's so nice of you.
So this is a gift that's to me worth a hell of a lot more than Dr. J.
That's funny. Well, it's funny. This is a funny story. The one connection I did have with Mike in Boston is I grew up in Connecticut, and you grow up in Connecticut, and this is back before the Red Sox and the Patriots won anything. So nobody really was a fan of anything. Half of the kids in school were Yankee fans, and then the other half was divided between the Mets and the Red Sox.
Gotcha.
And I was a Red Sox fan because in 1977, 78, I came up here on a school trip to go to see a game against the Texas Rangers. I still remember Carlton Fisk, Yaz. I think Eckersley might have been the pitcher.
Yeah, 78 was their ace.
Remember. And I've always been a Red Sox fan, through thick and thin and all that. And I did enjoy all the rides, but obviously when you move into a different city, we were joking about that the other day. You have an advantage growing up in the same place, living. So I'm a definitely a Red Sox fan. Obviously, I still support the Phillies, but it was funny being a guy that grew up in Connecticut and remembering the Patriots in the 70s and the 80s. And my brothers, for example, and everyone else that I grew up with, no one ever wore a Patriots shirt in their entire life. And now the bandwagon is so full. It's amazing to watch. In Connecticut, especially.
You know what's funny, though? And that's another little kind of lesson that we can learn. The NFL back then, in my time, right, when I was a kid, the Patriots were horrible. And I ended up loving baseball, and I hated football. Not because they were horrible, but half the time they weren't even on TV.
That's why I was a Vikings fan.
So imagine the NFL not promoting themselves. Yeah. They wouldn't even put them on TV. Imagine nowadays, like as a punishment, because you didn't sell out the fans. And so they went from having that kind of strategy to now the NFL is everywhere, NFL Network. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So
that's a good point.
You think about today. So now there's so many more football fans than there were in the early 70s.
Well, you're a diehard fan, and you deserve all the joy that you've had over the past 15 years. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Come visit today. I wish you the best. Thank you for watching and listening to The Fence Show. This is Pete Fickinger. Until next time.